Welcome to Brandermill Local Radio. Get ready for your Brandermill community updates for the week of January 13th, 2025.
Let's jump right in.
First, a quick reminder that the BCA office will be closed on Monday, January 20th for Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Right.
So plan your visits accordingly.
Now for some good news.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Arborscapes.
Yeah.
For chipping over 100 trees recently.
Wow.
That really helped residents with their post-holiday cleanup.
Yeah, think about all that chipped wood, less waste in landfills, maybe even some of it gets reused somewhere in the community.
Absolutely.
Speaking of cleaning up, it's time to say goodbye to those holiday decorations.
Right.
You want to make sure any decorations on neighborhood signs are taken down?
And all personal property decorations should be down by January 25th.
Okay.
And while you're at it, take a look around your property and see if any snow removal is needed.
Good point.
The BCA handles that for community amenities, but not the paved trails. For neighborhood streets and main parkways, you'll want to contact VDOT if there are any issues.
Okay.
Now let's talk about all the meetings coming up.
Yeah.
This week is jam-packed.
It is. We've got the ARC,
Right.
the Lifestyle Advisory Committee, the hearing panel,
Yeah.
and the big one, the Board of Directors meeting on January 27th.
Right.
The Board of Directors meeting is usually on the third Monday, right?
It is.
So is there something special about this month's meeting being on the fourth Monday?
That's right. The January, February, and March board meetings are all scheduled for the fourth Monday of the month.
Oh, okay.
This particular meeting is interesting because it's not only on a different day,
Yeah.
but it also marks the beginning of the year and really sets the tone for new initiatives.
Right.
Keep an eye out for any key decisions or discussions that come out of that meeting.
Good point. It's also a good reminder that those first quarter assessments were due January 10th.
Oh, that's right.
Late fees will start kicking in, so if you haven't paid yet, make sure you take care of that ASAP.
And don't forget about your amenity renewals.
Oh, yeah.
The deadline for that is January 31st.
Right. Pools, tennis courts, boat launches, all those fun things.
Uh-huh.
Compliance checks start on February 1st, so you'll definitely want to get those renewals in.
Absolutely. Speaking of getting involved, there are a couple of great opportunities coming up for those who like to stay in the know.
Tell me more.
Well, there's the Roundtable discussion on communications and lifestyle on January 30th at the North Beach Clubhouse.
Okay.
It's from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.
It sounds like a good way to connect with the community and the BCA leadership.
Definitely. And then, of course, we have the upcoming Board of Directors election.
Yeah.
3 positions are up for grabs.
Yeah.
So this is a chance to really have a say in the future direction of Brandermill.
I imagine there's quite a bit of interest in those positions.
Yeah.
When will we know more about the election process?
The election calendar should be released after that board meeting on January 27th.
Right.
So stay tuned for more information on that.
Sounds like that meeting is going to be pretty important for a few reasons.
It is.
Now, before we move on, any updates on maintenance around Brandermill?
Yes, quite a few actually. The maintenance team has been busy making improvements.
Okay.
We've got new dog stations popping up, repairs being made to existing ones, and a major water line replacement project underway in the Northwich subdivision.
New dog stations. That's great news for our furry residents.
It is. There are 3 new ones.
Oh, wow.
One at Turtle Hill Trail to Shadow Ridge,
Okay.
another at Burnham Woods and Brandermill Parkway, and the third across from Whispering Oaks on Brandermill Parkway.
Wow. Waterline replacement is one of those things that may not sound exciting,
Right?
but it's so important for the community's infrastructure. What kind of impact will that project have on residents in Northwich?
Well, they should expect some construction activity.
Right.
And there might be some temporary interruptions to water service as the work progresses.
Okay.
It can be a bit inconvenient. But it's a worthwhile investment in the long-term health and functionality of the community.
I know sometimes it can be hard to know who to contact when something needs fixing.
Right.
What's the best way to report any issues with dog stations or suggest new locations?
You can reach out to the BCA office or contact the maintenance director directly.
Okay.
They're always open to feedback.
Speaking of staying connected, I saw that you can now join the BCA text list. I'll make sure to include that link in the show notes for anyone who wants to sign up.
That's a great way to stay up to date. And don't forget to follow the BCA on all their social media platforms for the latest news and announcements.
So much is happening in Brandermill. Now let's shift gears and delve into a topic that's been generating a lot of buzz lately. The proposed changes to the Brandermill Community Guidelines.
Yes, This has been a hot topic. Essentially, the BCA is considering revising certain guidelines related to things like home maintenance, landscaping, and even pet ownership.
So what are some of the specific changes being proposed and what's driving these revisions?
Well, one of the main focuses is on ensuring that all properties are well-maintained and aesthetically pleasing.
Okay.
This includes things like requiring regular lawn care, addressing any visible damage to homes, and keeping landscaping within certain parameters.
That makes sense. A cohesive look and feel can contribute to the overall appeal and value of the community.
Right.
But I imagine there are some residents who might have concerns about these changes.
Absolutely. Some feel that the proposed guidelines are too restrictive and could infringe on their personal preferences for how they maintain their property. Others worry about the potential costs associated with complying with new standards.
So, how is the BCA addressing these concerns, and what's the process for implementing these changes?
The BCA is actively seeking input from residents through surveys, community forums, and even dedicated email addresses for feedback. They're working to strike a balance between community aesthetics and individual freedoms. The proposed changes will be presented at a public hearing before any formal decisions are made.
It sounds like there's still a lot of discussion and debate to be had. What can residents do if they want to get involved or share their thoughts?
Attending the public hearing is a great way to make your voice heard. You can also reach out to your elected board members, attend BCA meetings, or participate in the online forums. It's important for residents to engage in this process and help shape the future guidelines for the community.
Absolutely. It's about finding solutions that work for everyone. Speaking of community engagement, another topic that's been generating a lot of interest is the upcoming Brandermill Arts Festival.
Yes, this annual event is a highlight for many residents. It's a fantastic opportunity to showcase local talent, enjoy live music, and connect with neighbors.
When and where will the festival be held, and what kind of activities can attendees expect?
This year's festival will be held on Saturday, May 10th, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Sunday Park Amphitheater.
Okay.
There will be a wide array of art vendors selling everything from paintings and sculptures to jewelry and crafts.
Oh, wow.
There will also be food trucks, live music performances throughout the day, and a dedicated kids zone with activities and entertainment.
It sounds like a fun-filled day for the whole family.
Right.
What's the best way for residents to stay updated on festival news and announcements?
They can follow the Brandermill Arts Festival page on social media, check the BCA website, and look out for flyers and posters around the community. We'll also be sharing updates on our upcoming shows.
Great. Now let's talk about something that's on everyone's minds: the future of the Swift Creek Reservoir.
This is a crucial topic for Brandermill, as the reservoir is not only a vital source of drinking water, but also a central element of our community's recreational life.
What are some of the key challenges facing the reservoir, and what steps are being taken to address them?
One of the primary concerns is sediment buildup, which can reduce the reservoir's capacity and impact water quality.
Right.
There's also ongoing monitoring and management of invasive species like hydrilla,
Okay.
which can disrupt the ecosystem.
So what's being done to mitigate these issues?
The Appomattox River Water Authority, which manages the reservoir, has been implementing a comprehensive watershed management plan. This includes dredging to remove sediment, using herbicides to control invasive plants, and working with residents to reduce runoff and pollution.
It sounds like a multifaceted approach is necessary to protect this vital resource. Is there anything residents can do to contribute to these efforts?
Absolutely. Simple actions like using phosphate-free fertilizers, properly disposing of yard waste, and picking up pet waste can make a big difference in reducing runoff that pollutes the reservoir.
Okay.
Participating in community cleanup events and staying informed about water conservation efforts are also great ways to get involved.
It's a reminder that we all have a role to play in safeguarding our natural resources. Now, before we move on to our listener question segment, let's circle back to the upcoming Board of Directors election.
Okay.
We've had a few listeners reach out asking about the candidates and their platforms,
Right.
what information is currently available, and when can residents expect to learn more.
The official candidate list will be released after the board meeting on January 27th.
Okay.
Once that's out, residents can expect to see candidate profiles, statements, and information about their backgrounds and priorities shared through various BCA channels.
So stay tuned for more details on that front. Now it's time to dive into our listener question segment. We've received a lot of great questions this week, and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can.
Let's get started. Our first question comes from a resident in the Haven,
Okay.
wondering about the progress of the new playground equipment installation.
That's a great question. It's been in the works for a while now. What's the latest?
The The BCA has confirmed that the equipment is on order and the installation is scheduled for early spring.
Okay.
Weather permitting, of course.
Of course.
They'll be sending out more specific timelines to Haven residents once everything is finalized.
Speaking of spring, our next question is about the annual spring cleanup event.
Yes, that's always a popular one.
It is?
It's a chance for residents to get rid of large items they can't normally dispose of through regular trash pickup.
Right.
Think old furniture, appliances, that kind of stuff.
Right. So when can residents expect that to happen?
The BCA is still finalizing the date, but it's typically sometime in April. Keep an eye out for announcements and community updates on social media and in the Brandermill Standard.
Our next question is from a new resident who's curious about the Brandermill Community Association itself.
Okay.
They're wondering what the BCA actually does and how it impacts their daily life as a resident.
That's a really important question, especially for newcomers. In a nutshell, the BCA is responsible for maintaining the common areas, amenities, and overall aesthetic appeal in Brandermill. They handle things like landscaping, road maintenance within the community, snow removal in common areas, and the upkeep of those amenities we talked about earlier, pools, tennis courts, and so on. They also enforce the community guidelines to ensure a certain standard of living for all residents.
So when you pay your quarterly assessments, those funds are going towards maintaining all of that and keeping things running smoothly.
Exactly. It's like a big HOA, but it covers a much wider range of services and responsibilities because Brandermill is such a large and diverse community.
Okay, we've got time for one more question.
All right.
This one comes from a resident who lives near the golf course and has noticed an increase in geese in the area.
Okay.
They're asking if the BCA has any plans to address this.
That's a tricky situation. Geese can be a nuisance, but they're also protected wildlife. The BCA is aware of the issue and is exploring humane ways to deter them from congregating in certain areas. This might include things like habitat modification or using natural repellents.
It sounds like it requires a balanced approach.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They want to find solutions that are effective, but also respectful of the environment.
Well, that wraps up our listener question segment for today. We appreciate everyone who sent in questions, and we apologize if we didn't get to yours this time. We encourage you to keep those questions coming.
We're always here to help connect residents with the information they need.
That about does it for this week's deep dive into all things Brandermill.
Be sure to tune in next week for more community updates and insights.
Until then, stay informed, stay involved, and have a fantastic week, Brandermill.